Monster RX93.1 presents The Morning Rush. The Morning Rush, the country's favorite morning program on FM radio. Music, laughs, all the hot tea, and the hilarious top 10. Your hosts, Chico, Hazel, Markki, and Rica. The Morning Rush.
Ladies and gentlemen, live on The Morning Rush on Monster RX93.1. We are so proud to have on the show Miss Universe 2018, Catriona Gray! Is she here?
Hello?
Oh, there she is! Good morning!
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
hello! It is so nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone. Good morning.
Oh my God. Can we just spend the first 5 minutes just starstruck?
Just staring at you.
Yeah.
Just completely
Give it to us,
starstruck.
and then after that, we'll be professional.
We need a moment to gather ourselves.
Maybe for our first question, Catriona, how does it feel to be among mere mortals? Being such a goddess, I mean, we don't feel worthy to be sharing the same screen. So how is the quarantine treating you?
It's been interesting. Of course, in the beginning naman, parang we've never experienced anything like this, no? And
Right.
so I felt very privileged to be in the position that I was in because, I have a comfortable place to stay. I'm able to stock up with food, go to the grocery. So I was quite comfortable. But in a way also, I felt incredibly uncomfortable with the fact that that's not the reality for everyone. And it just, I didn't know how to sit with it. Parang, I don't know. I work with a lot of underprivileged communities. So it just it was so apparent to me throughout these weeks. So parang it's been very strange because at times I feel guilty. And then if I'm feeling a little bit anxious or something, I have to also be kind to myself. Yes, I'm in a good position, but also it's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel, a bit uneasy. So it's been really interesting.
Are you also
So how do
very?
you deal when you're feeling anxious?
I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, how do you deal, when you're being anxious? Do you cook? Do you clean? Work out?
I'm someone that really has to process. So kind of I have to sit with it and I kind of assess why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Because if I leave it and just try and busy myself, parang I'm not really addressing why I'm feeling the way I am. I have to really sit with it and kind of assess. And then once I've kind of sat with it and figured it out, then I'll start to busy myself to kind of take my mind off it. Because at times, parang if you have anxiety, it's just there. There's no quick fix. I don't have any thing that I do to magically make it disappear. But I just kind of have to get comfortable with it. And I think that's what we all do in our own little ways.
Is it also a little difficult because you're watching what's happening here in the Philippines, but at the same time you're also checking out the very different situation in Australia because your family's there, right?
Yeah, my parents are there, so I chat with them often just to figure out what the situation is. Because of course you see it in the news, but you also want to know what it's like for them to experience it in person. But they're doing really well. My dad just underwent surgery for his eyes.
Okay.
Mom is with him. He looks a little bit like the governor in Walking Dead. Now my eye patch.
Yes.
So me and my mom are teasing him a bit, but no, they're really good. Keeping. I'm just making fun of my dad. Parang every time he goes to the grocery store, he might give people a fright.
Do you watch The Walking Dead?
No, but my parents do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is the first time we're getting to talk to you, and we actually stopped everything we were doing in our radio show because our show is from 6 to 10 in the morning, and as you know, Miss Universe, when aired here, is around that time. So we actually had a television set up in the booth, and we were there we were having a watching party live on air watching you. And we were there cheering you on and watching you win the crown, and we lost it, completely lost it when you won.
We really did.
We had wine glasses ready with coffee inside, all sorts of.
We had a literal viewing party, like for
It was
real,
a viewing
for real.
party, and we were there with the entire staff. We were like so enamored by that performance. What a performance!
Have a video reaction.
I think we do.
We
Yeah,
do.
we
We have a video.
did.
Yeah.
We do. It's a whole event.
Funny.
Well, just after I won, it was Christmas because I won December, and then it was Christmas break, and so I had time with my family to kind of escape the flurry that was happening with my life. And what I did was I would spend my time on YouTube just watching the video reactions of everyone, and it was
Right?
just crazy all at the same time.
Oh, you know, Kat,
Because I know some people, don't they like go to hotels, like they rent a room and with all of their friends.
Yeah, it's a whole event. People have like parties, they have sleepovers, like watching parties, and so they all gather together. It's like an event, and I think it's like that every year for Miss Universe. It's something very special for us. So it's really cool to see all the love that was pouring out after.
you know, like when you were in the actual competition, or even right before, were you trying to, were you very aware of what people were saying? Because, leading into it, if you were to watch those, YouTubers, bloggers who specialize in Miss Universe, a lot of them had you as their top pick, even before the competition. Were you aware of this? Or during the show, did you have any idea of how much you were like nailing it every single competition, or were you a bit clueless as to what was happening?
I definitely was aware, but I also didn't allow it to let me feel like I've already had it in the bag. Like, it's really wonderful to be praised, and to have that love pouring in from the public and from supporters and from my country. But in the competition, parang I felt like I had to prove myself even more to justify the hype and the love, if that makes sense.
Right.
So with it not being my first international pageant, where I also experienced not the same level of hype, but I also experienced hype, and nonetheless, I still wasn't able to secure the crown. So I never felt like it meant that it means I'm going to be at the top. Parang I had to prove myself all the way through.
I mean, what was your
Okay.
reaction? Because, go.
Sorry, we have a question from a listener. Kat,
Yeah.
what kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, hard question, because literally my taste in music changes all the time. And
I
I'll
love it.
old music, like jazz, Ella Fitzgerald, to like
Oh my God.
Elvis. Just like, it's a mixed bag. Worship music to country to rap, like it's so random, I swear. But
Eclectic
it's
taste in music.
Spotify, you could probably find me on Spotify.
Oh yes, so we can listen to some of her songs. Yes, Kat is actually an amazing singer. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
hear that your dream collab is Lea Salonga.
Yes. Oh
if
my
you
god.
have a collab with her, what song would you like to sing?
It might be a little bit corny, but like the reason why I love her so much, just to make a bit of cuento, is like when I was a little girl, like the time cassette players, my dad would play this cassette over and over again because it was one of his favorites, and it was Miss Saigon, and Leia was the lead. But I didn't know that at the time, but I grew up listening to the music, so it's become my favorite musical as I grew older. And of course, I grew up watching Aladdin and Mulan, and so when I found out that the voice to all of my childhood favorite songs was a Filipino, parang I just felt very like awestruck, like I was starstruck. And so she just became this very sentimental person that I really look up to in music. And so I would want to sing something from Miss Saigon. Is it random?
Oh my gosh, yes. There's so many beautiful songs on Miss Saigon, right? That would be perfect for you guys.
Oh,
Do you
but,
have a song in mind?
Yeah, movie in my mind sana. Kasi
Movie in my mind.
I'll be Gigi and she can be Kim.
Speaking of Miss Saigon,
Yes.
would you be open to taking a role in musical theater?
Ooh. I love Broadway. When I was in New York, it was one of my favorite things to do. Like I would save up to buy tickets and I'd go alone.
What would you want to star in? If let's say you were given a choice.
Ooh. Ang hirap. I think still Miss Saigon. Just
Miss
because it's
Saigon?
just very sentimental to me. It's really special to me talaga. It's one of my favorite musicals. I don't know. I really love the music. I know every word by heart.
It's such a beautiful musical. So, for example, if they did it here in the Philippines, right? If they did like Miss Saigon, what role would you want to play?
I want to be Gigi. Gigi Von Trapp.
Gigi?
It's a little bit risque, no? Kasi
Yeah, it's risque. And it's a challenge, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's a challenging role.
definitely.
Rachel and Gold
Right?
did amazing things with it.
Phenomenal. And so yeah, that would be what I would love to challenge myself for. Well, let's see. But I don't know. I just really love that musical talaga. As you can tell with this window. But I really
I have a question for Kat. Like one of the, aside from the incredible, performance you did with every aspect of Miss Universe and Binibining and whatever beauty pageant you joined, one of your like forte is really like the Q&A. You seem to be saying the right things all the time. So my question is, after the fact, after you've handed on the reins to a new Miss Universe, do you find yourself just a little bit careful with what you say, even in regular life when people ask you questions or during regular interviews? Do you find yourself parang Miss Universe mode on and I have to be able to answer nicely, or are you more relaxed now?
gusto ko yung Miss Universe mode, no? I feel like a lot of it's quite a similar frame of mind that I'm in, because when I was on stage at Miss Universe, the thing that I tried to remind myself of is I just want to speak from my core. And what does that mean? That means that I just want to talk about things that I know and come across as myself, because I feel like that's where the sense of genuineness and authenticity comes across when you speak your personal experiences and from who you are as a person, about what you care about, what you've made your mind up about. So I feel like it's very much the same now whenever I talk to different people, whether it be on camera or off camera or in interviews. Like I always just want to get across who I am and what I think. And this is my personal opinion. This is how I've arrived at it. And this is what I present to people. Ganun lang. Parang, I just want to allow people to know who I am. So it was very much the same when I was on stage.
But have you always been this unflappable? Like, when we look at you, you're so composed all the time. Like Chico said, you always know what to say and when to say it. Like, did it start off that way for you early on in life?
I swear no one believed me, but I was so shy as a little girl. Like,
Really?
an only child, and so I would and when I was growing up, we moved around a lot, so I was always the new girl at school, and so I just was this very quiet. I wouldn't know how to approach people. I wouldn't know what to say. I was mostly quiet, and when I moved away from home at 17, parang I was forced to come out of my shell little by little, but it was definitely a process. I've had many moments where I've been talking and then I lose my train of thought. I don't know what the question was anymore. It's the same. I'm sure you guys are always asked if it was always there. I think like any skill, it's always developed or learned. No one's really born being very good at something, no? It's always learned or grown.
Did you used to pretend as a kid that you were joining beauty contests?
I never wanted to be a beauty queen, which is funny because my mom put me in a competition when I was 5 years old. Little Miss Philippines in Sydney, Australia.
Oh my god!
Good.
Do you still have videos of that?
Adorable.
And my talent was lip syncing and dancing to "Stop Right Now" by the Spice Girls.
Oh my god.
Very RuPaul's
so
Drag
cute.
Race.
That was just all my mom. We watched Miss Universe together when I was growing up, but like I never really saw it as something to aspire to because I just saw it as a show. Growing up as a teen and as a young girl, I always felt like, what's the point if it's just like every year, then there's a new winner every year. I thought that after the girl wins, then she goes home and it's just like she has a crown, but it doesn't actually entail anything else afterwards.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was much older that I realized that it's an actual job. Like you end up being placed for a year and roles and duties, and someone's like, oh, that's kind of cool, like you get to be an ambassador of goodwill and call that your job. So it changed my perception of it, definitely.
Let's listen to some of the fans. Carlos Joaquin Pandora asked, for Queen Cat, what are your silver linings during this ECQ?
Oh, it would really have to be, I've been able to organize some relief efforts in Tondo, Manila. It's a very special place for me. It's really where I began my volunteerism. I'm working with Young Focus, which is an educational NGO. We've been having an ongoing No Work, No Rice campaign, which means that we're raising funds to give 15 kilograms of rice to families who don't have food during this time because their work has stopped. And it's a silver lining for me because it just makes me feel that even though I'm in a position where, you know, I'm comfortable, even though with everything that's going on, at least I'm able to contribute in some way to someone who's facing uncertainty and might be very fearful and might, you know, not knowing where their next meal is coming from to feed their family. So that's become a silver lining for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Here's another one. Trina Rivera says, Queen Cat, how is your Conquering Your Universe book? How's that going?
Ooh.
That's become like my day job during EQ is writing. And it's very interesting because I'm a first-time writer. I've never written anything before, and I'm quite a perfectionist when it comes to things that I do. So it's becoming a very tedious task, but I'm trying to get it finished soon so that hopefully it'll be able to be released and everyone can read it.
We're so
So
excited.
how's your process when you're writing? Because you know how sometimes you start at the end or the middle.
I definitely have
this
this beginning because I feel like the first answer for any reader that's reading it, because it's not necessarily a how-to pageant book. It's not about how to be queen. It's more about the life lessons I've learned, and my anecdotes are mainly revolving around pageantry, but I hope that the lessons are applied to other people and can be relatable in that way. But the first question I had to answer is like, why do I care about pageantry? Like, why does it mean so much? And so I kind of had to start there and develop that, what it means to me. And what it means to a lot of different people, because there's many people who feel like how I felt when I was a little girl, like, oh, it's just a show. Like, what's the big deal? Like, what's the point? So I really felt like I had to answer that, and that's where I began.
You know, somebody asked me to ask you this question. He was wondering, what is an update on, you were advocating for Filipino Fabrics when you were at the Miss Universe. And you wanted to put a spotlight on the Filipino Fabrics, and he wanted me to ask you, do you have any update on that? Like, has there been more, attention on the various Filipino fabrics that you were advocating?
Yeah, well, I was very honored to be named as the Ambassador of Arts for this year by the NCCA. So I've been working with them actually to key groups in different provinces. I continue wearing the fabrics in my everyday life and trying to show the people how it can be incorporated in a modern way. But also, I recently went to La Union before all of this happened, obviously. Was able to visit some weavers in Bangar, La Union, and as ambassador, I'm actually putting together like these videos to kind of raise awareness, but also show what it means to Filipino families. I don't want people to see, oh, it's a pretty cloth. I also want to see people really realizing, wow, it's uniquely Filipino. 2, it supports families and livelihood. And then 3, it's something to be proud of in our tradition. That it's not something to be forgotten and that should be replaced and modernized, but it should be something to be embraced. So
Nice.
that's what I'm doing as ambassador.
You know, somebody was asking here. It's on screen from Arnie Joy. What is more important, to be respected or to be loved? Wow.
Hmm.
Good question. I feel like respected. It's not necessarily in the traditional form of love, but I feel like to respect someone is the foundation on which you build love, because you can't truly love someone unless you have a foundation of respect. So you can't have love without it.
I swear, you do this so well. I don't even know how you do it. I don't even know how you do it.
Chico, walang thank you for that wonderful question.
Yeah.
Dire-diretso.
Walang lag.
So you're reading it off your book.
Wala tayo, walang.
Wala.
Tapon ka, Thailand. Here's an interesting question. Somebody was asking, where was that? All right, from Nathan. Queen Cat, would you be interested to be a Disney princess? If so, which Disney princess
Chico's
would
been
you like to
practicing
play?
that.
Ooh. I kind of love Mulan because like she can kick ass.
Right? Yeah.
She can.
I was growing up, I have a black belt and I got it when I was 12, and I
Wow.
think that would be awesome. Have a fight scene.
Yeah. We wouldn't want to mess with you. We have a black belt.
Hair and
Okay, and here's
here-
one. So Giselle says, what can you say to those who dream to join beauty pageants, but they just don't have the confidence to do it?
That like people are born confident, and it's definitely true. I feel like, I mean, even me, I have a stage persona and a personal persona. Like if you ask my friends, my family, I am still quite reserved. I'm an observing type. I'm quite quiet still. But then when I get on stage, I don't know. It's weird. You ask some performers and it's the same. Wearing it's a Sasha Fierce type of feel. Like it's being
Right.
dual. Where I have one side where I can like have no inhibitions and be on in front of thousands of people and feel like I'm not going to be conscious. But then I also have another side of me that's not. But the way that I was able to reach that is really just by kind of learning how to quiet my inhibitions, those thoughts that tell you, oh, look at me right now, like, oh my God, everyone's looking at you, or oh my gosh, why would you try that? You know, I feel like that's one of the biggest aspects to building someone's confidence. It's first from yourself, and then just developing in your skill, because once you better yourself at what you want to do, the confidence comes with that because you're prepared.
Right.
So, and quiet the antagonist in your mind. Just reinforce that doing what you're doing and just work hard at it.
Do you?
Okay.
Here's a fun question by Ruel John. What makes you blush?
Ooh. Oh.
I usually blush if I receive compliments. I used to be really bad at receiving compliments. You know, like how someone says something really nice and then you're like, thank you. Like you just, yeah, it's usually when I receive compliments in person. It makes me blush.
Mm-mm. So what about usually we hear
It's
so
just
many,
very Filipino, right?
we usually hear a lot about how sometimes it gets like uber competitive in beauty pageant, especially if you have the biggest beauty pageant on the planet, which is Miss Universe. How do you handle when, let's say, some of the girls may be a little too competitive and you don't get, some of them become your friends, but some are a little, let's just say, too competitive. How do you handle that sort of energy when you were competing?
I'm actually really lucky. I haven't experienced firsthand a lot of that negative energy during my competitions, which I think is becoming the more heard story nowadays with the competitions. I seldom hear stories of girls fighting or resulting in backstabbing or anything during the competition. But if that energy were present, I think it's just important to remind yourself, it obviously means a lot to these girls, and that's why they're competitive. Maybe it means their family will be taken care of. Maybe it means the pride for them, their family or their country. It could be their dream, a stepping stone to their dream. So I feel like you just need to be polite, to be professional when you're with them. And then if the negativity persists, just find people who you don't feel that with and go hang out with in the competition.
Actually, here's another question. Miguel Pareja says, how do you see pageants moving forward in light of our current situation? Because we know that we are all stuck at home.
It's so difficult
to move forward.
Because usually that's one of the beauties of pageantry, where we all congregate together and we all cheer each other on. And there's something about being in an arena full of people that is it's kind of magical. It really is. But it's so different now because mass gatherings of people is not really recommended. But I feel like it won't stop, because for me, pageantry finds its core in representing something. So I, as a contestant and as a beauty queen, I always wanted to represent something, whether it be my country or my cause that I believe in. And I feel like women can continue to do that with the platforms that they have to represent something, to share stories or to advocate the cause or to, support other people. I feel like that's how pageantry is going to go forward on this platform of utilizing platforms. Because even if you look at all of our title holders now, in the role of being a goodwill ambassador and a spokesperson, they're still doing the work. It's just in a different way. Rather than going to events and speaking to people face to face, it's more speaking to a camera to speak to thousands and millions of followers and supporters and their audience. So I just feel like that's just how it's going to be for the while being.
Yeah. Actually, we have another question from Facebook, which is an interesting follow-up. How will you adapt to this new normal? What will be your modifications, innovations for work? Also, what are your other plans because of this situation?
I feel like work has just kind of evolved in that it's on a different platform now. I've been trying to use my platforms in a way. I've partnered up with the Department of Health. I've been representing and talking about the community living with HIV and also with the community in Tondo, because I want to use my platforms in a way to kind of inform people and educate people and also give them inspirational material that they can to feel a little bit empowered, like, oh, maybe I can just do this small thing and I'm doing my part. Like I'm creating my own silver lining, if you would, during this time. Because I feel like that's what our platforms as queens are for, no? I really believe that's what we're here for, to empower people and how we share our story, how we did it, and kind of humanize it to the point where people feel like, oh, so I don't need a title to do that. I know that you've had queens on this whole week, and they've been talking about resources, getting in touch with friends, kind of put something together to help another. And I mean, anyone can do that. And so I feel like, we put out those stories just to show people like it is possible, and it really does make a great impact. And then routines for work. I feel like it does get really difficult to be productive during this time. Trying to orientate yourself every morning. For me naman, I always need to wake up and not super sleep in, because I feel like once I sleep like past noon, I feel like I'm just like off. I'm disorientated for the whole day.
So you are a morning person.
Day, right?
Really want to be a morning person, but not night out.
You know, the
How
one
about this
thing I
one
know,
from Ron? First thing you will do after ECQ.
Oh, yun.
I just want to go outside and like maybe take a trip out, see greenery or see the ocean because I'm staying in a condominium, and so that's for someone like me who really enjoys nature. It just feels a little bit depressing. And other than that, I would love to go to church if it were possible. If it was allowed, I would love to go and worship again at church because I miss it.
I have a weird. It's not really a question because there's no answer to it. More like a reaction. What do you say to, like, people were saying that we, the Philippines, are the back-to-back breakers because you and Pia, your first runner-up came from the country of the previous winner. You know, like the one who was Miss Universe before Pia was Colombia, and her first runner-up was Colombia, and the one before you was South Africa, and your first runner-up was South Africa. So, what's your reaction to that?
I feel like we will try and find trends or like, you know, like even people were like, kasi apparently between Gloria Diaz and Margie Moran, it's 3 years. And then Pia and me, it's 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, people say things like that. So it's a very cool coincidence lang. Like even when I who my judging panel was, I was really kilig because one of my judges, Michelle, she was top 5 in Miss World, same as me. Then she won Miss Universe in Thailand, and she was my judge. So I was really kilig. Also, one of the impressions, like little like theories can be positive, but they can also be negative. Because people were telling me like they're not gonna crown Philippines for another how many years, you know? It's too
That's
soon.
true, yeah.
Or I would hear like they're not gonna crown someone who already competed in another competition. But then having someone on my judging panel that had done what I was hoping to do was really like inspiring for me. So, you never know.
Do you keep in touch with one of your batchmates until now? Like somebody who ended up like a really good friend?
I just had a group call, like a video call, Denmark and Sweden. They were my best throughout the competition. And it was just, it's so interesting because of course we in such random places, no? Like who would have known that I would have really good friends so far in Europe, you know, in Denmark. And then finding out what their situation was like, it's really interesting. But we do keep in touch, which is it's really nice aspect about pageantry.
The Morning Rush. The Morning Rush. The landmark morning radio program on Philippine FM Radio. Winner of multiple KBP Golden Dove Awards for Best Radio Comedy Program. Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Manila's hottest Monster RX93.1.